I am Rob Piper. I am running to be your District 3 Commissioner in the city of Miami, and welcome to my very first Zoom side chat slash virtual town hall slash ask me anything, where people will have the chance either on this platform or they've submitted me questions in advance. Residents have in order to ask me about my campaign and ask me about what I plan, what my plans are to if elected as commissioner, and we'll go from there. So I guess I'll start with I. My name is Rob Piper. I have been a guess the main thing to know about me is that I am a dedicated public servant. I am here to serve. I first began when I first got to Miami. I was stationed here in 2012 as a United States Marine Corps officer, and I worked over at U.S. Marine Forces South, U.S. Marine Corps Forces South. And so during my time on active duty in the Marines, I have just been serving my country in a variety of capacities, mainly as a logistics officer, where I drafted policy for multiple organizations, I managed budgets, I oversaw personnel, and when I retired in 2016, I decided to serve in a different capacity. I sought to serve by researching, studying, and learning about the city of Miami government in order to empower, engage, mobilize, and inform residents of Miami to facilitate a government in Miami that was efficient, fair, responsive, transparent, accountable, and effective. So, in that capacity, I'd say since 2016, I've been serving as the president and founder of the Democrats of Coral Way, as the executive director of the Win with Integrity Now Voter Messaging Coalition. I served as the president, or actually the lead of the PAC, Take Back Our City PAC, to recall Joe Carollo, Commissioner Joe Carollo. I also received my doctorate in international relations. I served as a legislative aide in the Florida House, and I also served as a regional field director on the reelection campaign of Mayor Daniela Levine Cava. So by now, service is in my blood. Again, I'm here to serve. And so whether I win the election or not, that's not going to change. I'm still going to continue to inform, engage, study, research, empower voters to facilitate a better government in Miami, a government that is more responsive, more fair, more accountable, more transparent, more effective, and more efficient. So that's pretty much about me. Does anybody on here have any questions? Dave or Diane, did you have any questions you wanted to ask me?
Yes, who are you utilizing the people um that helped Eileen in her
I
campaign?
Yeah, I have so far I've gone this alone. I haven't consulted with any consulting groups or anything like that. The pack that I've started that I plan to facilitate a bank account with is called Here to Serve. Uh, um, and it's not set up yet. The I have received an EIN from the IRS, and I'm just waiting to get all that paperwork ready so I can open up a bank account and then use that. But yeah, no, to answer your question, I haven't reached out to any consulting services, and none of them have reached out to me as of yet.
Okay.
So what I
Mhm.
could do is I want to read off a question that I got from a Miami resident, and I'll address it right here. They asked me, how would I address the lack of affordable housing? And that is a good question because affordable housing or lack of is one of Miami's biggest problems. And the short answer to that is I'm going to work my tail off to ensure that 90,000 more affordable units get built in the city of Miami. So that's the short answer. The long answer is I'm going to be working with my fellow commissioners as well as all the relevant stakeholders to find solutions. Those relevant stakeholders consist of private developers, nonprofit developers, community organizations, academics, community trusts, community land trust, um, community cooperatives, organizations, the county government, as well as the relevant city departments, departments within the city, and as well as getting buy-in from voters in order to facilitate solutions that will enable the quick building of the 90,000 units that the nonprofit Miami Homes for All feels is needed, the threshold that is needed in order to have enough housing in order to solve this affordability crisis. Now, my tools as a commissioner are limited, my authority is limited, but I'll be able to use the tools that I have for me to including drafting legislation like resolutions and ordinances, uh, working with the relevant city departments, as well as working with the relevant civilian city civic oversight boards. And the solutions I come up with, I'll need to get buy-in. But the things that I feel that need to happen consist of, for one, we have to get away from multi-use development and for a more single-use development. And what I mean by that is if you have a choice to develop a housing development that has 75 units and a Publix, a retail space, or a building with 100 units and no retail space, we should focus on the 100 unit space without the retail space because it's there's enough retail options within Miami, but there's not enough housing. So we need to focus on that in particular. Another thing I would advocate for is in-house development within the government of Miami. In-house development within the city of Miami, there are architects, there are construction managers, there are engineers, and I could be wrong, but I have yet to see any indication as to why the city of Miami can't take more of a lead role, at least within its city borders, while working with county officials in order to start projects, housing projects, to complement what private industry, what private developers are already doing. Uh, and another thing I would think that we would need to follow in order to find land in order to develop affordable housing, we could take a page out of the city of St. Petersburg, out of their playbook, in which they went around and they found out all the dilapidated housing and the available land, the unoccupied land. And what they discovered was that a lot of this land was being held by big corporate property hoarders. And these properties were dilapidated. They were available. They could have been easily used. They could be easily used to develop affordable housing. So what they did was they took all those dilapidated buildings and then they ensured that they gave the owners a choice, either bring these up to code or sell them, in which case they incentivized them through code enforcement. And for low income homeowners, they gave them incentives and assistance to help them bring their properties up to code. So that is an option that one of the options that we have. In addition, encouraging the building of accessory dwelling units. Those are like the little in-law units that the county has already made allowed to be permitted in the county code, in the zoning code. Uh, that's an option to incentivize homeowners to create more of those. I happen to have two of those accessory dwelling units in my own home, and they are they're a great equalizer to ensure that people have an affordable place to live. I know my tenants have an affordable place to live because I purposely give them below market rents because they're good people and I want to help them out. Does anyone have any questions so far about that?
Yeah, where are you gonna put their cars?
Oh, cars for for accessory dwelling units?
No, for the 90,000 units, that whatever it is, 90,000 units means what, 180,000 more vehicles?
Yeah, that's a very good question. There is a when you build these units, yeah, you'd obviously like build a place for their cars because I think multi-use development doesn't necessarily mean parking. It just means like other uses like retail space and what have you. So yeah, parking would go with it.
What about
What
road
about roads?
to get to the house?
Oh, well, yeah,
Yeah,
expanding roads. I think we've, in the city of Miami, we have expanded roads extensively, but that hasn't solved the traffic. So, and I think that in order to mitigate those problems, that's why we have to expand our public transit. And even though public transit is under the authority of the county, that the city does have influence in that regard. And
I bet.
so, yeah, the things that I would propose as a commissioner, using the tools that I have for me and getting buy-in from my fellow commissioners, would be just utilizing what the city can control, like the trolley routes. It can expand its trolley routes. It can create a new civic oversight board, like a traffic mitigation board or a public transit improvement board, to complement the tools that the mechanisms in place at the city level in order to expand our public transit. So that is one way to deal with what you said as the what do we do if we build these housing units and we need to mitigate the resulting traffic. I personally think that the cars are already here. It's just that the people don't have the affordable places to live.
Hmm, that's interesting. I can't now. The cars can be here without the people. You know, when somebody
They're
moves into an
yeah,
apartment, they bring
a,
their car.
a lot of them are just living in places where they can't afford to live, or they don't have a place of their own to live. They're either living with relatives or living with a lot of
Yeah,
roommates or what have you.
yeah,
Yeah, that is a very good question.
yeah.
So another question that I received from a resident was, how would you assist local businesses, especially when dealing with tariffs? So in that regard, yeah, there's not much I can do since that is a national policy, but there are things that a commissioner can do in order to help local businesses deal with the issues that might come. For example, within the city of Miami, there is a Department of Economic Innovation and Development that can assist these businesses in finding strategies to mitigate the effects of the tariffs, finding local sources of supply, utilizing local sourcing their goods from local sources, as well as finding relief, financial relief for these businesses. One thing I would do as a commissioner is work with my fellow commissioners to draft legislation, either in the form of resolutions or ordinances, in order to assist these businesses mitigate those issues, as well as working with the various civilian oversight boards that oversee like neighborhood businesses, like the downtown, I believe it's the Downtown Improvement Board, as well as the Wynwood Improvement Board, and any entity that deals with helping local businesses. I'll be working with them, getting input from them in order to determine, okay, what is the best way to help these businesses mitigate those issues. Let's see. In the next question, what plans, if any, do I have to assist the community with the high cost of living? Well, I think that goes back to what we were talking about previously regarding affordable housing. If you, the city would just need to make affordable things that it can make affordable within its realm of influence. Like if the city is able to put policies in place that will help people afford their rent, then as a whole, that's one less expense. That's one less burden of their expenses. And as a whole, things become more affordable. So I would advocate find tools, put mechanisms in place to make things affordable. Like, for example, more affordable public transit. We all know that the trolleys in Miami are free. If if legislation can be put in place to expand those routes, well, then that means that cost of transportation goes down. Things become automatically more affordable. Also, finding new sources of revenue. There are,
The-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
when the cost of using public transportation goes down, does the ridership go up?
I would assume, yes. I unfortunately don't have any.
I don't think so.
So, okay, are you saying that that if the cost of public transit goes down, people won't use it more?
Not that much more. No, I don't think so. I think
Okay.
people's habits and their view of their lifestyle does not necessarily include public transportation.
What
There
if,
was something,
what if in addition to making it go down, the price will go down, the access increases? Because I know if I know me personally, my personal experience, if the trolleys had more routes and they went more often, I would use them a lot more.
Right. Yeah.
And
That
that's going to require revenue. And finding revenue, that's going to be a challenge, but I think it's something that that can be done because there are certain ways that Miami can like expand its revenue to including expanding its tax base, at least within its own authority to do so, as well as soliciting for federal funds in order to provide people with relief, and even going as far as to charter a municipal public owned infrastructure bank, a bank that's not owned by shareholders, but a bank that's actually owned by the residents and chartered to
uh,
finance what the city needs and keep at cheaper interest rates and to keep more of its revenue in the city to finance those types of projects.
it's interesting you brought that out, not as a major topic of discussion, but
Mhm.
I get bills. Everybody gets bills for stuff that they do on a routine basis throughout the year and month. And I get bills in the mail from organizations that do the bookkeeping and I, the 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 money collection and the money disbursements for as a service to companies. And I find very interesting that the city governments and even the state government is using private clerical people to do their work, and they're not giving those jobs to local people. I don't understand how that can be done. I would like that to be explored anyway. Because I got a bill today from a doctor. It's like the Florida Medical Associates, and it comes from Georgia. There's someone up in Georgia typing away and sending out bills. I mean, that seems strange to me. And that's private. But I also get things from government agencies that are from out of state where people are
we
doing the
complained
mailing.
about that one time somewhere around here.
Yeah.
And did not get a good answer. Maybe years ago. I don't know. What?
Yeah,
Probably, it's
so
probably
basically
cheaper.
you're asking why are private companies why are government services being farmed out to private companies?
Out of state and out of city. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
that income is not being brought to the city. It's being shipped out to someone else's city.
Because it's supposedly cheaper.
Yeah, right. It's just like
Supposedly.
offshoring your government business to some other place. That's
Well, yeah.
ridiculous.
Maybe people think it's not that big a deal. I think it is.
Well, you're right. It's a very big deal when you think about everything that other entities, private entities in other states that aren't Miami are making money off of, and that money is not finding its way into the coffers here in order to solve these affordability problems, these public transit problems. That's a problem. So I
Yeah.
would definitely like talk with you guys offline about like and get more examples of this and find out where we are losing our money. Because yes,
Okay.
that is something that I want to do as a commissioner to whether it be like creating a new civic oversight board called a revenue generation board or what have you, or whatever. There's got to be a solution for the city of Miami to keep more of its revenue in order to finance these initiatives because if there's one thing the city of Miami needs a lot of, it's money. The resident asked me, what measures would I take to help with public transit? Perfect segue. We have buildings going up and creating more traffic. What can be done to control it? Like I've said before, we expand access to public transit. What I plan to do is I plan to work with nonprofit groups like the Transit Alliance Miami, as well as the county, because public transit is under their authority, but there are certain aspects of it that city of Miami can influence. So I think one of the things, a force multiplier would be if we were to expand access to public transit, make it make our trolley routes more numerous, and possibly even creating a new board, like I mentioned, a transit improvement traffic mitigation board, in order to give stakeholders from the community, from the government, from private industry to come together and to figure out solutions, as well as finding the new sources of revenue in order to fund it. And those sources of revenue, well, they can be, again, federal funding, a public bank, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I was asked, how would I support local schools and educational programs? Uh, I know the public schools are the authority of the county, but the city works with them via the Educational Initiatives Division within the city government. And I would support their work and give them the resources they need in order to work with the county to ensure that children's families are empowered to ask to learn about educational initiatives, work with community organizations, and as well as in ensuring that any gaps in education of the city of Miami's youth are filled. So again, working with the stakeholders, passing legislation where necessary, and securing funding where necessary. One of the things that I have kicked around is putting mechanisms in place to improve that, to whether now I would have to like talk with folks within the school system, within the school board, and ask, okay, what civics education curriculum exists here in the schools within the city of Miami? Because if the if the parents don't know, I'm pretty certain the kids probably don't know either. So that's again, and that's another reason why I wanted to run, was to make sense of it all, because I received civics education when I was in high school, but not necessarily of my local government. It was more national government.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
And that is unfortunate. I'm with you. I would like to see more involvement, civic education to both young people as well as adults. The goal is to encourage more civic participation,
Mhm.
because yes, I think that civic participation is key. Well, for one thing, it's the ultimate form of volunteerism. Well, that would be running for office. And civic participation will go a long way. When citizens are more involved in their government, the government is less likely to be corrupt. So I've written an op-ed about that. So
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, what I would like to do as commissioner, I would like to put tools, mechanisms in place that would build on what the city of Miami already has, to encourage more civic engagement and civic involvement amongst its residents. It already has like a YouTube channel, which is a start. There could be more engagement on the part of the city of Miami government. And if that like means like drafting a resolution to create a civic engagement board or public participation board, that's certainly an option. I did want to give one last question. Go to one last question before I close for the night. It would be the asking me if I what is the there seems to be more unhoused individuals. how can this issue be addressed? So my short answer to that is we have to give them housing. That's how you address homelessness. The short answer, the simple answer is give them a place to stay. The long answer is to just working with all the relevant stakeholders, my fellow commissioners, uh, my my voters, to find solutions that lead to a housing first strategy. Housing first strategy is a strategy that is used in Europe, that is used by our sister cities in countries like Spain, Madrid, Japan, and Kagoshima. And basically, it says that it's a philosophy that housing is a right, not a privilege, and that in order for somebody to elevate themselves and live a life of dignity, they need a roof over their head first. And I hope to use the authorities that I have as a commissioner, the tools I have in order to facilitate legislation that would encourage encourage that solution, move us towards that solution in order to mitigate the problem of homelessness in this city. Because the solutions, housing first strategy is a very there's research, there's documented research that show its success, and it can work for us here in Miami if we have the political will to make it happen.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. All right. Well, we're at about an hour here. So yes, I'm going to work in a plug right now. This will not be my last Zoom side chat slash virtual town hall. I am looking to have these every second Wednesday and fourth Wednesday of every month until the election. So, and if anybody watching this on YouTube has any questions, or if you, Diane and Dave, have any further questions, feel free to shoot an email to coralwaydemocrats@gmail.com. That is all one word, no spaces, no gaps, no dashes.
Okay, we'll do it.
Fantastic,
Yeah,
fantastic.
that
So
sounds good. Thank you.
you're
I
very,
really
very, very
appreciate,
welcome.
no, I really appreciate you using your past experience, your expertise, your knowledge, your good thoughts, whatever, to do this. This is extremely important, and hopefully more people will do the same. And
Hopefully.
people will support you.
That is the plan. That is the plan.
Mhm.
All right,
Okay.
guys. Thank you very much. And y'all have a
Yeah.
fantastic rest of your evening.